Hi there, and thank you for tuning in to the most watched business show in the country. This is the Business Weekly Show on City TV as I bring you in the next 1 hour all the latest business news stories that made headlines this week. My name is Michael Obodu, and please follow me on Twitter at mobodu. Well, the show is sponsored by Standard Chartered Bank. Standard Chartered Bank, here for good. Well, are you ready? Let's go.
Those people have passed on. We have about 150 of them. Just 2 weeks ago, in Kumasi alone, we recorded 5 deaths. 5 of our customers have gone. And this has awakened the need for government and all those people who matters in this country to have a second look at men's gold issue.
For 3 years, we have gone to wherever mile that we can go, but nothing is happening. And we have seen the government protecting number one. And you are saying that his company was a 419 company.
It has been 3 years since the collapse of gold dealership company Men's Gold Limited. The company and its CEO Nanapia Mensah aka Nam1 for several months dominated the news when the issue broke. But the frenzy of the scandal has since died down and many have forgotten the episode. However, for the over 1 million Ghanaians who were affected, the wounds are still fresh. The coalition of aggrieved customers on Tuesday addressed journalists, and Fred Forson, the spokesperson of the coalition, lamented how little government had done to refund their monies or have the main culprit Nam1 prosecuted.
We have always given our full support for it. However, this remedy by government seems to have hit rock bottom. Constantly, the criminal prosecutions of Nam1 has been adjourned with variety of excuses from the state prosecutor. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, you are witnesses to the incessant adjournment of the criminal case against Nam1 in our law court. In one instance, the judge had to threaten dismissing the case because the state prosecutor failed to go to court. In another instance, the court had to adjourn the case simply because Nam1 had a cough, a cold. We believe these are tactics being used to delay justice that we deserve as Ghanaians who invested in a Ghanaian company licensed by an agency of government.
Meanwhile, as Nam1 continues to evade the law, the lives of those who entrusted their monies in his care continue to deteriorate. Like Stephen Abuaji, a former banker who says he invested 86,000 Ghana cedis in Men's Gold, but is now visually impaired due to lack of money.
That's 2019, and then it took to like a serious distance. So I was supposed to be sent to India for an operation, but there is no money. So I was trying my best to even beg at the radio station and other to get money to organize myself and go, but I didn't get money. So since then, the eye started gone. Yeah, the doctor assured me that if I get the money, everything will be okay. So now it's about money. So now I'm left to nothing. Even it's my chairman who is paying my bills, everything, my rent bills in Accra here. Like I'm supposed to go back to village because there is nothing. And I'm jobless now. I used to work at the bank, but now I don't work again. I'm at home now.
The aggrieved customers have called on Parliament to investigate the closure of Men's Gold and also intervene in their predicament.
It's not only men's gold customers who are trying to get back their investments. Customers of Legacy Capital too are wild. For them, it's been 1 year of a wild goose chase, and now they are just fed up with the company. I'm just wondering what the reason could be for the delay in the release of monies to customers. The company was amongst the few whose license was reinstated after it was first revoked. So what at all could be the issue?
The Securities and Exchange Commission (SEC) in November 2019 revoked the licenses of 53 fund management companies due to various breaches, including the non-payment of clients' funds totaling 8 billion Ghana cedis. In its quest to rectify the situation and to promote the orderly growth and development of an efficient, fair and transparent securities market, the Securities and Exchange Commission in September 2020 restored the licenses of 3 out of the 53 companies whose licenses were revoked. These were Monarch Capital, Legacy Fund Management and Integrity Fund Management. But 1 year down the line, the customers of Legacy Capital say they've not received any payment since the company's license was restored. They bemoan the lack of commitment on the part of the company to have their monies paid to them. In an interview with City Business News, the customers spoke about the hardships they are facing.
On the quiet, when they went back and they were given the licenses, payment has been done once. This payment was done up 15th October. After that, there has never been any communication again. All that we will hear sometimes on a text messages, we are getting ready, we are waiting for liquidator and what have you. I mean, it's been a while now. Recently, they said they were going to send us a statement. The statement that came had some anomalies with them.
Invested with Legacy Fund Management since 2014. Initially, we were receiving our interest all right, but for the past 2 to 3 years, I think, it was difficult for us to get our investment. And later, we found out that their office in Obuasi, Kumasi, and then other places where they operate were closed, were locked, so we couldn't. And then later, we started receiving messages from them that their license has been revoked by SEC. So we are wondering, and then later they sent us a message that their license has been given back to them, so they will commence payment on a set date. So if we want to make withdrawals, then we should fill a form online and then we'll be paid. We did that and then we waited for a while. When I received only, I think, 11-12% of my investment. Though I filled all my money that I want all my money be paid to me, but I couldn't get what I was expecting. And then later they promised to pay us again. So since last year up to date, we haven't received the payment, but rather messages that they are working on it.
Meanwhile, Legacy Fund Management Limited has assured its customers affected by the cleanup of the sector that it will receive their monies in full. The company urged them not to panic as it is going through all the processes to ensure that they receive their monies. In response to the claims, Legacy Fund Management in a statement explained that it decided to make payments in batches due to the numerous withdrawal requests it received in September 2020. The management explained that all clients were duly informed. The statement further noted that management has been in communication with clients to notify them about the arrangements and when subsequent payments will be made. In addition to funds from the receiver and official liquidator, management has taken the necessary steps to redeem the investments from various institutions to enable us meet the withdrawal request, it noted. Legacy Fund Management further noted that it is working with the SEC to get its license and achieve full recovery status.
We turn now to our markets, and the Ghana Union of Traders Associations, GUTA, have charged again. Now they are calling for the Committee on Foreign Retail Trade to resume the locking of shops of non-Ghanaians who are breaking the country's law on retail trade. They say they were trying to be diplomatic about the whole thing, but now their patience has totally run out. Not even a drop is left. Watch our next video and you understand. The Ghana Union of Traders Associations, GUTA, has been in the news for a while now, pushing the agenda to get the government to lock up shops of foreigners in the country who engage in retail trade in contravention of the JIPC Act. Nigerian traders have been the worst affected by this exercise. The government had earlier prevailed on the Ghana Union of Traders Associations (GUTA) to exercise restraint as the two sister states tried to find a lasting solution to the long-lasting issue of invasion of the market by foreign retail traders. The leadership of the Nigerian traders were asked to provide data of their membership and other relevant documents on their businesses to enable the committee to discuss the issue and make an informed decision. According to a press release from the local traders association, the leadership of their counterparts failed to do so despite asking for more time in the previous meeting. A rather irritated president of GUTA, Dr. Joseph Obing, vented on the development, calling for the task force to resume its work of closing down the shops of foreigners in contravention of the law.
It was halted because of this same reason that they have rejected. Then there's no need that the task force will be there not working. And that's why we are calling on the task force to start working, because otherwise this has brought a lot of agitation among our people. Sometimes when we call this, we just want to appease the locals from they're not to taking anything into their hands, and we want to be law-abiding citizens. And so instead of waiting for anything to happen, then we call on government promptly, because we get feedback, and sometimes we want to have our control where we do not have the control. And you know how people behave. How can they take control when they don't see any way forward, especially when these people have rejected the government special dispensation? Then they will say that these people are bluffing us, disrespecting us, and they are bent on flouting on the laws in our faces.
But speaking to City Business News, president of the Nigerian Union of Traders Associations Ghana, NUTAG, Chukwuemeka Nnaji, denied the claims, arguing that the meeting rather ended in a stalemate.
Another point came, that is 3 and 4, that if you rented a shop and that shop expired, you should not have the opportunity to renew it. Doesn't really matter where you are, whether you are in the bush or in the market or anywhere, you should not renew the shop, which means you have been sacked. And I told them that the sacking of Nigerian traders cannot work with the concession that have been given to us. If the government have given to us the concession, who is to benefit? It's those Nigerian traders who have been here before 31st of December. And what we should do is to go to the market, open the shops that were closed, get the data, and actually verify. Because those shops that were closed have evidence of having been in Ghana before 31st December 2020.
The Minister for Fisheries and Aquaculture says she will have any fisher folk who engages in illegal fishing activities arrested once they are caught. Some fishermen choose to engage in light fishing, which isn't the best of practices as it depletes their fish stock. But you, someone who has the keys to lock the ocean, is cautioning you and you won't listen. Be there.
It is estimated that over 3 million Ghanaians depend on the fishing sector for their livelihood. Fishing is considered not just an economic activity, but also an important element of the culture and traditions of the fishing communities. Over the past few years, the sector has been confronted with a number of challenges that have the potential to further worsen its performance. They include illegal, unreported and unregulated fishing. Already, Ghana has received a formal warning from the European Union, and the country risks sanctions if drastic measures are not implemented. Currently, the government has suspended the supply of pre-mixed fuel to some 4 landing beaches in the central region until further notice. According to the National Premix Force Secretariat of the Ministry of Fisheries and Aquaculture Development, the decision is a punitive measure for light fishing and other illegal fishing practices carried out by fishermen in such areas after the closed season, despite an earlier caution by the sector minister Mavis Hawa Kumsin. Addressing the media after the inauguration of an 11-member board of the Fisheries Commission, Hawa Kumsin said all will be done to ensure light fishing and other illegal fishing methods are brought to an end.
The fuel or the premise fuel is meant for outboard motors, not for the generators. And they keep using it. So if you still do the light fishing, the only way we can prevent you is to stop giving you the premise fuel. So we've asked the suppliers not to supply them with the premise fuel so that they will not have in abundance to go and use it for the generator until they come to promise that they won't do it, and we also believe that they won't do it, then we can give it to them. Yes, whilst we've suspended, we're still waiting. We could not get them. Some of them were arrested and they have been found. They have been found. So as we speak, the recent one, we've not been able to get hold of them. If we should get hold of them, we'll surely take them to court. They are being prosecuted. Yes, we'll seize the gadgets and then we'll prosecute them, and they are fine. So that's what we do. We've done it to others, and those who also be arrested will go the same procedure.
Chairperson of the 11-member board is Professor Francis Nunu.
Away from the markets to cocoa, and the cost of freight for the cash crop is expected to increase next month. Interestingly, COVID-19 has a hand in it. The pandemic has led to a hike in freight charges across the world. One tiny virus power and see all the damage it has done.
Swelling freight rates and container shortage have become a global challenge, disrupting supply chains across many countries. Over the past year, shipping freight rates across transportation channels have gone through the roof. For many, the COVID-19 pandemic, amongst others, has played a major role in this situation. As part of efforts to engage shipping lines serving Ghana's cocoa trade for agreements on issues affecting the carriage of Ghana's cocoa and mitigate the soaring impact of unfair freight charges by shipping lines, the Cocoa Marketing Company, Ghana Shippers Authority, and shipping lines ferrying Ghana's cocoa exports to the international market have agreed to increase their cocoa freight charges by 5% for the 2021-2022 cocoa season, which starts on October 1. As a result, the rate for shipment per ton to the United Kingdom has gone up from £30 to £31.50. The northern continent rose from €49 to €51.45. Estonia jumped from €56 to €57.75. Shipments to Europe increased from €55 to €58.80. The Far East rose from $89 to $94, and Brazil went up from $103 to $109. The Bunker Adjustment Factor, BAF, an additional charge levied on shippers to compensate for fluctuations in the price of the ship's fuel, was also increased from 27% to 28%. Speaking on the sidelines of the 2021-2022 Cocoa Negotiation Conference in Accra, Head of Freight and Logistics at the Ghana Shippers Authority, Fred Asidu Dati, said the adjustment is due to recent events in the global shipping market.
In the communique that was read, Madam indicated clearly that a number of issues came up for discussion. One of it is that charter rates have gone up significantly. Okay. And the most important thing is that globally, most of the vessels, you have the charter rates doubling. Okay. Spot market values have gone up. The second issue is that we have a case where there is this global container shortage, and all of the implications of that is also affecting the business. And quite frankly, it just makes sense that all of the factors are looking north, and consequently it was considered to raise the freight. We also had to tinker with the bunker adjustment factor, because if you look at the general trend of bunker prices, there is a gradual steady rise, on the high, and so we thought that it is important to accommodate all of those things, just so that the partnership can thrive going forward.
The Ghana Shippers Authority says it is deeply worried about the increase in pirate attacks in the sub-region. CEO of the Ghana Shippers Authority, Benonita Bismarck, said her outfit has vowed to protect the shipment of cocoa from pirate attacks.
The piracy in the Gulf of Guinea is something that is of high concern to the whole maritime industry. That is the remit of the GMA. In fact, this morning I was with the Minister of Transport and he mentioned that. So definitely anybody calling our shores is mindful of that. It shows that insurance may go up at the end of the day. But then, that is why for cocoa, we sort of ring fence it and then look at it with different lenses, so to speak. It is not subjected to the other vagaries like other things are. Cocoa is of prime importance to us as a country. So we look at things differently. That's not to say you will not take those things into consideration. But this is the mainstay of Ghana, and we look at it with different lenses to ensure that Ghana benefits for all of it, and then, there's a win-win situation for everybody.
The increase in freight charges isn't affecting just products we ship out of the country like our cocoa, but also those imported into the country like building materials. I'm sure you've noticed the spike in their prices like that of cement. For that one, it seems to be running quickly like an Usain Bolt race. There was a point where you'd go to a cement shop in the morning and the price you were given in the afternoon is much higher. All this will ultimately mean higher cost of buildings. But then, what could be the way forward?
In the wake of high cost of rent in Ghana and the ever-growing housing deficit, the cost of building materials has remained on the ascendancy. This is blamed mainly on the cost of importing building materials. Experts say the solution lies in the adoption of local building materials, but that may not come easily. Patrick Ebobonful is the president of the Ghana Real Estate Developers Association, GREDA.
I have been a strong advocate for use of local materials as an alternative to reduce cost in an area where you don't have control over the producers of cement. And to be frank with you, they import clinker, they import a number of things which are influenced by the dollar. So when it comes to price increments and stuff like that, it's very difficult for them. Again, when you talk about taxes, the government, it's very difficult for government to get taxes. We Ghanaians don't like paying taxes like everywhere else. So items that have elastic demand like that are easy ways that the government can generate money to develop the economy. So if we want to reduce that, then we have to be looking at alternative construction materials like local materials. I have said elsewhere, let's examine the use of laterite.
In a quest to find local solutions to the rising building cost, a local recycling company, Nelplast Ghana Limited, has been producing building blocks from plastic waste and is able to develop a chamber and hall self-contained at the cost of 60,000 Ghana cedis. But the company is yet to receive any support from the government. The Deputy Minister for Works and Housing and MP for Binduri, Honorable Abdullahi Abanga, in a City Business News interview, said the government is finding ways of supporting the venture.
That is one example of using local materials or innovative materials. It is something that our minister is very much interested, the government is very much interested, and we are trying to find a way of encouraging him and also promoting it, because if we can get a lot more people to begin to use those materials, we believe the economics of scale will come in then, so that the unit cost of those raw materials will come down, and then we can have decent houses and more houses for our people.
GREDA President Patrick Ebobonful says it behoves the government to take the lead in the adoption of local building materials in Ghana.
So, like I said, in conjunction with the use of laterite, like hydroform bricks and stuff like that. Those types of construction or methods of construction are things that we should pursue as a country. And to lead the way, I think Ghanaians usually will buy into something that they see government using. So maybe government can start by giving certain contracts and specifically saying use local building materials, and that will begin to help grow industries along these lines, and then we can have alternative forms of building materials and for building construction.
Are you a property owner? And when was the last time you paid taxes on your building? If you can't remember, then please start gathering money, because the government needs your money to run the country. The government says now and there, it won't give any small money chance, not even one.
Of particular interest is the issue of the robustness of revenue to support the fiscal consolidation effort. And the government has focused on measures that would help to improve domestic resource mobilization. Some of the measures includes the completion of the national identification numbers identification for citizens of Ghana, which has been adopted as a tax identification number for individuals, the implementation of government's cashless policy, the Ghana.gov, which allows the online payment of revenue and taxes, the launching of an online filing application form, Christian Tax Made Digital, a successful implementation of a paperless court system since 2018. The government has also introduced a revenue assurance and compliance and enforcement initiative also to help support the revenue mobilization drive, as well as the implementation in this year's budget of the COVID-19 health levy and the sanitation and pollution levy from May 2021. The government is also looking at the revamp of the exemptions bill, which has been presented to Parliament, and it is the expectation that the issue of the implementation of property taxes will take off, hopefully by the end of the year. There is also currently ongoing a tax audit digitalization drive, which is to more or less lead to effective and efficient tax audits, as well as voluntary tax compliance by taxpayers. So there has been quite a number of measures that have been put into place, which we hope would help improve the revenue flows to the budget.
Clearly, the government is on an aggressive drive to raise revenue, and it has an eye on our mobile money too. It proposed a 10% tax on the earnings of mobile money agents. However, the agents across the country have kicked against the idea. They better kick hard on a media. I'm not ready to pay any additional charges because of this. At least the Ghana Chamber of Telecommunications thinks so too. They argue that it won't help, especially as we are still trying to gain grounds with our cash light agenda.
Data from the Bank of Ghana over the years shows how mobile money has transformed and continues to transform lives in the country, especially in an era of COVID-19. Between June 2020 and June 2021, active mobile money accounts have risen from 15.5 million to 18.3 million, while the total value of transactions has risen from 45.3 billion Ghana cedis to 89 billion Ghana cedis within the same period. On the back of the impressive numbers, the Minister for Communication and Digitalization, Eslo Osukufo, has in the past hinted of the possibility of taxing aspects of mobile money to help shore up government's revenue. Also, a few months back, mobile money agents across the country were kicking against a 10% tax they say was being imposed on their earnings by the government. Speaking at the 18th Knowledge Forum organized by the Ghana Chamber of Telecommunications, the head of research and communications at the chamber, Derek Lai, opined that taxing any aspect of mobile money now will be counterproductive.
The point about taxes on mobile money, I'm one of those people, this is my personal position, which is that mobile money in and of itself currently for me is still a very baby service. It's at this nascent stage. And I say that because you're looking at active users. Today, active users are 17 million. But what is the total, what's the addressable market? If you want to tax the service, look at it from that perspective and ask yourself that if you look at the addressable market, you look at the people that have been rolled into the service, you've not even taxed it, you're getting 215 million. How about if you move from 17 million active to maybe 28 million? That's also new revenue that will definitely hit the kitty. So rather than trying to, and we talk about the production rather than taxation angle of this conversation. So rather than go direct, how about allowing the market itself to play out its efficiency and profitability and productivity to be able to then give you returns that you least would have been able to actually get if you had gone in with a direct tax and basically hamper consumption and usage in the long run. So for us, we think that as a chamber, I can boldly say that we think that this is not the time to actually discuss direct taxation of mobile money because it doesn't happen anywhere.
On his part, however, the CEO of the Ghana Chamber of Telecommunications, Kenneth Ashigbe, noted that mobile money is already being taxed.
They were saying that mobile money currently as it is taxed. There are various ways in which it's taxed. So there's CIT, corporate income tax, that is paid. The agents and merchants who are involved in it pay withholding taxes on the commissions that they earn. By virtue of the fact that you have mobile money running, there are businesses that are there because of that, and they also are paying taxes. So we fundamentally agree with government's policy of production rather than taxing. So we definitely think that taxing mobile money directly is like taxing the cash in your pocket. The money that I have already made, that I have paid my taxes on. If I decide to now send that, and then you are going to tax it, that will be taxing the cash itself. We should tax the activity that happens at the end of it. So that's our firm position, and we believe that that would inure to our benefit.
Away from mobile money, you know how you almost can't tell what you use your money for when you make so many little expenses, unlike when you use a huge chunk of it for one specific thing, like, for instance, rent, school fees, etc. Well, the Public Interest and Accountability Committee, PIAC, says we might experience the same thing with our oil and gas revenue if we continue to spread insignificant oil money across numerous projects.
Despite the Public Interest Accountability Committee been calling for the last 5 years for exclusive project to actually be funded by oil money, the situation hasn't changed. Looking at the 4 projects that the committee has actually looked at across the Sekondi Takoradi Metropolitan Assembly and the Fiakwa Municipality, it looks as if most of these projects are insignificantly funded by the oil money, and therefore becomes very difficult to actually make any claims that these are exclusively oil money. I am here at the New Takoradi community here in the Western region, where 180,000 deba grounds is supposed to be funded by oil and gas money. But a look at it shows that the project, which they claim is about 80% complete, is still actually being halted. So I'm here with one of the leading members of the committee to actually tell me what he makes of what he's seeing today here, and whether the issue of spreading too thin when it comes to the utilization of Ghana's oil money still persists or is still a concern. So what can you tell me about what you've seen so far?
What we have seen is a failed project, in that the whole Deba grounds is not worth its purpose. Now, these are some of the challenges we have with the utilization of oil revenues, because when you do small micro projects, you don't get the impact of the oil resource. We've spent $6.5 billion already of oil resources, and we don't have any major tangible projects to show for it. A project like this is an embarrassment to the country.
You've also seen the 2 projects so far. What's your assessment of these projects?
My colleagues are saying that this one will give them less than 10%. This side is all even sinking already, and it's just 1-year-old project. So one wonders what will happen after 5 years. So as for this one alone, I think that the contractor and whoever supervised the work did not try for Ghanaians.
Amidst all these concerns being raised over here, what does the PIAC itself feel about this, and whether they think their recommendations are being toyed with? Because some of these issues have always reoccurred in their recommendations. I have Mark Ajiman, who is one of the executives at PIAC. Tell me what he makes of some of these concerns and the fact that they keep reoccurring in some of the inspections that they're doing in the Western region today.
Yeah, thank you, Kwesi. You've been with us from the beginning when we started this project monitoring in 2016. We actually started from the north. And to be honest with you, what we saw up north in 2016, how we've used oil money to undertake projects, is not different from what we are seeing today here at New Takoradi, where oil money is commingled with other funding sources and making it monitoring are very difficult because you go to a project site and you don't know exactly what oil money went to do as part of the project. The other thing also is that we spread the money sometimes so thinly across projects that some projects receive funding of 10,000 Ghana cedis to do tiling and painting. Some projects receive our 50,000 Ghana cedis to do just grounds work. Then the question is that if you continue to spend our oil money this way, we might produce petroleum for 1,000 years, but then its economic impact, socio-economic impact on the lives of the citizenry will not be realized as envisaged in 2007 when petroleum was discovered in commercial quantity.
Now let's talk about illegal mining. The government, as part of efforts to end the menace, says excavators and bulldozers will be registered and tracked before being allowed to leave the country's ports. So if your equipment is seen around the water body on the system and we discover that you are not a licensed miner, then chairman, obey a sheriff. They will deal with you, basa.
As of October 2020, Ghana had lost over 36 billion Ghana cedis to environmental degradation. Illegal mining significantly contributed to this figure. The use of earth-moving machines by illegal miners largely contributed to the degradation of Ghana's forest and water resources. In 2017 alone, about 500 excavators were seized from small-scale miners when a ban on the trade was imposed. The miners who used the machines violated environmental regulations. They dug deep into the belly of the earth in search of gold. Per the laws, all such equipment must be registered with the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority (DVLA) to enable effective tracking and monitoring of the intended use of the machine. However, the practice has been different. According to the Transport Minister, Kweku Ofori-Esiama, the decision to register and track all earth-moving equipment at the country's ports before their release forms part of efforts to curb illegal mining in the country.
Government is also very much concerned about the indiscriminate use of earth-moving equipment at unauthorized mining areas. Government has therefore directed that the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority put in place and register all track moving equipment operating in the country. So the DVLA is going to establish or put up a facility at the airport, at our ports, that the Tema Port and Tekrade Port, to make sure that all earth-moving equipment that enter the country is first and foremost registered and tracked.
This week also, boards of some public institutions were constituted. The Precious Minerals Marketing Company is one of them, and the government says it expects the board to focus on addressing the issue of gold smuggling in the country. There are reports that $5 billion was unaccounted for in gold exports from Ghana to the United Arab Emirates. Hey, so how at all did they get there? Hopefully, the board will help us solve this mystery.
A recent report indicates that billions of dollars worth of gold is smuggled out of Africa every year through the United Arab Emirates in the Middle East, which is a gateway to markets in Europe, the United States and beyond. Customs data shows that the United Arab Emirates imported $15.1 billion worth of gold from Africa in 2016, more than any other country, and it was a massive rise from $1.3 billion in 2006. The total weight was 446 tons in varying degrees of purity, a rise from 67 tons in 2006. Ghana lost $15 billion as a result of gold smuggling. At a swearing in of the governing board of the Precious Minerals Marketing Company, government tasked the team to put in place modalities to reverse the trend.
The wherewithal to really work assiduously to ensure that smuggling in and out of this country, finds kind of a cover somewhere, if not to a level where we may not see it, to get to an appreciable level that will all in future say, yes, during your tenure, you were able to work hard to curb the menace of smuggle in the sector. We know PMMC must be seen as the pillar around which the business of gold will evolve. I don't see why in future we may not be competing strongly with Rand Gold in South Africa and other jurisdictions.
The 7-member board include Nana Akwesiewa, Komla Onyi, Alhassan Abdallah Idi, Benjamin Ni Ayi, Nana Adjoa Sabia Sante, and Alhaji Amadou Kalim. The chairman of the board, Kingston Akominkisi, said his outfit would closely collaborate with the Bank of Ghana to realize the dream of making Ghana the pillar around which the business of gold revolves.
Because I don't know why Ghana is producing so much gold, and day in, day out, every day we are in short of foreign currency. At least Ghana is producing, let's say, about 100 kilos a day, more than 100 kilos a day. And 100 kilos a day is, let's say, about more than $5 million a day. So if $5 million a day, Ghana is producing $5 million of gold a day. And the gold, if the money, the reputation, all the reputation is coming back to Ghana, I don't see why Ghana should be in need of foreign currency. So I think this is the time for us to think about all these things to make the country also prosper.
The other board that has been put together is that of the Ghana Tourism Authority. The sector minister is projected to create 1 million jobs in the sector in the next 3 years. I'm sure that's why he says he's very confident in the board members and how they will help him improve the fortunes of the tourism industry in the country. Clearly, he needs them. The tourism sector, which is one of the worst affected by the pandemic, continues to grapple with its impact. The government has made some moves to revive the sector, with the most recent being a $55 million World Bank grant for selected players in the industry. Despite the present predicament of the sector, Minister of Tourism, Arts and Culture Ibrahim Mohammed Awal says his outfit is targeting to create 1 million jobs in the sector. The board of the Ghana Tourism Authority was constituted on Tuesday at the ministry, and it comprises some members who were retained and led by their chairman, who has over 36 years' experience in the sector. Tourism, Arts and Culture Minister Dr. Ibrahim Mohammed Awal stated that he believed in the competence of the board to deliver as expected.
Every 6 months, I expect to have a meeting with the board. If there's an emergency board meeting, we would do it. But at least twice a year, we'll have a meeting. Our doors are open. And I want to challenge you that there's a pandemic. It's difficult. But when it's difficult, that's when we show leadership. So let's show leadership in the midst of the pandemic. That there are challenges, there are also opportunities. Let's look at the opportunities, see how we can together build a very vibrant, resilient tourist economy that can propel Ghana, create jobs for our people, and make tourism a 1% GDP. That's what we can deliver to Ghanaians. I'm very confident. Look at the caliber of people here that you would deliver. Fortunately for us, we have a very strong chief executive. He's been the seat all this while. He's good. Place leverage on his competencies, and together we'll deliver for Ghana.
Chairman of the board reassured the minister of their commitment to augment his efforts at reviving the sector.
I can assure the Honourable Minister on behalf of my colleague members that we turn the challenges into opportunities. The staff issue that we raised all boiled down to the implementation of the new scheme of service, and we look at it critically and address all the concerns. And as you rightly said, central to all management function is communication. So there's the need to institutionalize the public-private partnership forum, engaging all the stakeholders in the industry.
Let's talk about employment. And the Minister of Energy, Matthew Opoku Prempeh, says the jobs of staff of the Electricity Company of Ghana and other related companies might be at risk if the energy sector continues to record the level of losses. And this is mainly because almost a third of all the power generated is lost to distribution challenges and the almighty illegal connection. How can the company continue to run and keep all its staff when it can barely stay afloat?
Energy sector workers may be at risk of losing their jobs if the trend of losses being recorded in the sector is not reversed. The sector is losing as much as 31% of its revenue through transfer losses and also through the actions of persons who illegally tap into the national grid. Energy Minister Matthew Poku-Prempeh, in an address to the ECG staff at the commissioning of a revenue mobilization task force set up to reverse the trend, said the ECG and other power companies will have a tough time maintaining their staff if the situation is not rectified.
It is just not possible for ECG, VRA, GRIDCO to balance their book with that state of losses. It is the interest of all of us as citizens of this country to ensure that we pay for what we have produced and consumed ourselves. For every 100 megawatts of electricity generated, we cannot account for 30. How much you make as a business with your internal rate of return, such that you can lose 30% and want to survive. So it's in the interest of every staff management member of ECG, VRA, GRIDCO, NETCO, that I'm not only talking about salaries and remuneration that the company cannot pay without huge losses. The viability of your company itself to be able to employ you as a worker is at stake.
Meanwhile, the managing director of ECG, Kwame Ajimambudu, says patriotic citizens who will report such illegalities causing the losses will be rewarded with 6% of accruals from the arrest of such persons.
I implore the public to be very, citizen-minded people. Work with us. If you see something, say something and say it now. Even if your mother is cheating the country, is stealing, please be honest and tell your mother to stop. If it doesn't stop, please report to us. We have a commission-based policy in place, whereby if you are able to inform us that there's illegal activity going on somewhere, and we are able to verify and identify and bill the person, as long as we generate a bill, we give you 6% out of the amount, right there, before we even collect. So I'm employing all Ghanaians to take part in this exercise. If you see any illegal activity going on, kindly inform us so that we can investigate, and if you're able to generate a bill for that purpose, we give you 6% out of that.
Leader of the newly commissioned task force and general manager in charge of revenue mobilization of ECG, Michael Chumberima Boedu, says the group aims at saving a minimum of 100 gigahertz hours in the next 12 months.
Well, that could be possible, that some of the ECG staff could also condone and connive with customers to steal electricity, because in our Kan dialect we say that in every house there is a Mensa in every house or in every family. So people who work in ECG, who condone and connive with customers, when we get to them, we deal with them according to the code of ethics and according to our collective bargaining agreement and the other rules that govern our operation as a company. So that's for that one. Rest assured that we deal with them. And there are so many people who have been exited from this company as a result of one or two wrongdoings in connection with energy theft and other issues which were not right in their operational area. Yes, of course, as we said last year, we were able to recover about 58 gigawatt hours. With the coming of the task force, we want to get to about 100 gigawatt hours within 12 months. Yeah.
Now to unemployment, especially amongst the youth. The Alliance for Social Equity and Public Accountability, ASEPA, says to address this issue, among other things, all staff above the retirement age must proceed on compulsory retirement. The Alliance says this is because its research shows that close to 40% of persons in the civil service now are close to or above the retirement age. But what do you think about this?
Unemployment in Ghana has been a lingering problem for many decades. Ghana is currently faced with 12% youth unemployment and more than 50% underemployment, both of which are higher than overall unemployment rates in sub-Saharan African countries. Despite major investments by both the government and the private sector, this challenge will intensify if job opportunities remain limited. ASEPET's report follows the news of thousands of unemployed youth massing up at last week's Youth Employment Agency job fair to secure jobs with companies in the private sector. The report was to carefully analyze Ghana's unemployment situation, its causes, and what should be done immediately to mitigate its effect on the economy and the citizenry. Given recommendations from the report, the Executive Director of ASEPA, Mensa Thompson, asked government to, as a matter of urgency, terminate the contracts of civil service workers above the retirement age to make room for younger persons.
What we are calling for is an urgent action for government to, as a matter of urgency, issue a caveat for all public service workers who are above the retirement age to proceed on compulsory retirement. Those who have been given 1 year contract and 2 years contract must all be immediately terminated. We believe that there are about 40% of such people making up our labor force. If we do this, we can free up the labor force, the civil service, and we can employ at least 30% of our young graduates who are out there looking for jobs. Now, you know that the salary of a senior citizen or a senior public servant is very high. That salary can employ not less than 3 or 4 fresh graduates.
Mensa Thompson further provided long-term recommendations as to how the unemployment problem can be tackled.
We believe that government must refocus on agriculture so that every year our graduates who come after school, at least 40% of our graduates must be channeled towards agriculture. We want government to ensure that there's total reduction of the lending rate. We believe that the high lending rate makes it difficult for people to create businesses in the country and employ people. Elsewhere in Japan, you can get a loan as low as 3%. In the US, 5%. In Europe, between 5 to 10%. In Ghana, even though the Bank of Ghana policy rate is about 13.5%, banks are still lending at an exorbitant price of about 37%. How can people create jobs? We also want government to do what we call urgent fiscal reforms to reposition, our fiscal program, our fiscal framework to stimulate growth rather than what we have now. We also want government to enforce the laws, the regulations that bar foreigners from participating in certain aspects of our labor market.
To our final story of the show, President Akufo-Addo has echoed the government's commitment and willingness to create an enabling environment for the private sector in the country to flourish. He was speaking during a presidential business summit in Accra, and he assured private sector stakeholders that the outcome of the deliberations of the event will be prioritized to provide solutions to support the country's post-COVID economic recovery.
The Presidential Business Summit is an annual event by the Ministry of Trade and Industry in collaboration with the Office of the President and selected ministries, departments, and agencies. The summit aims at providing a platform for structured dialogue between government and the private sector on critical areas of interest to the sector. Thematic areas selected for deliberations with the private sector include fiscal and non-fiscal incentives to support production and private sector development, foreign exchange regulation and currency stability, and supporting local industries through government procurement and local content regulation. Speaking at the maiden edition of the summit in Accra, President Akufo-Addo reaffirmed government's commitment and willingness to create an enabling environment for the private sector in the country to flourish. According to him, a strong private sector is the surest way for the Ghanaian economy to fully recover from the effects of COVID-19.
The strong rebound in growth, low inflation rates, the stable currency, the strong reserve position, and FDI flows are clear indications of our collective desire to restore the Ghanaian economy onto a path of sustained stability and growth. We will continue to strengthen and deepen our engagement with the private sector towards realizing this goal. Ladies and gentlemen, the thematic areas and sectors selected for deliberations during this 2-day Presidential Business Summit have been carefully chosen to ensure that the outcome would be an actionable business compact with clear commitments from both government and private sector. Government will ensure the fulfillment of its obligations under this compact. And I hope that you, private sector operators, will also do the same.
Trade Minister Alantra Martin also noted that the outcome of the summit's deliberations would feed into the government's policy framework for private sector development.
I make these remarks to establish the fact that the role of the private sector in national development can and should not be underestimated. With or without natural disasters, it is well established from development history that the most powerful economies in the world are those that maintain a strong focus on private sector development. It is against this background that government has established an institutionalized process of sustained engagement and consultation with the private sector through a public-private dialogue framework. The Presidential Business Summit, which is a critical component of this framework, will consolidate the series of consultations and dialogue between government and the private sector in any given year and provide substantive input into the formulation of policies and programs to support private sector development.
Well, our time is up. Thank you for tuning in to the most watched business show in the country. This is the Business Weekly Show on City TV and was sponsored by these amazing people. Standard Chartered Bank, here for good. Please don't forget to hit me up on Twitter at @mobodu. Catch you same time next week. But then, if you're looking for regular business news updates, our website, citybusinessnews.com, is there for you. And on television is the Business Dashboard, which airs 10 p.m. sharp every weekday with a repeat at 7 a.m. the following day on City TV. Stay safe, stay informed, and yep, it's bye-bye from here.